Villagers are one of the most useful mobs in Minecraft. I have a few of them working for me and has been a lot of help for all of my projects. All of them are currently just stuck in this hole, so why not build the villagers their very own city? It's time for me to plan out an entire city that I will dedicate to all of my villagers. Keep watching for more. Hello everyone, my name is Shira and welcome back to another adventure in Minecraft. It's been a while since my last episode. I've been quite busy this couple of weeks in real life, but now I've got time to record again. So last time, I connected my road and railway to the iron factory right over there. I've also updated my world to the Chase the Skies update and got myself a happy ghast. And as you can also see here, it now has its very own gas pad. I made this in between episodes and I even released a short video about it. Speaking of shorts, I also built this structure here, right beside the cave entrance below here. Although I don't use this cave anymore, it's nice to have something built here. Alright, let's start with the episode. And what I'm gonna be doing today is to start another big project. I know, I'm not even finished with the one I'm currently working on, which is the Nether Hub. But don't worry, this new project of mine is required to get some progress in the Nether Hub. Well, sort of anyway. So let's head over there right now. So here we are at this place. I don't really show this place much, but this is where I keep all of my villagers. This is the villager breeder I made, which I've currently turned off since I already have a lot here. Then inside here is the trading hall. So I've got a lot of them here and I've been trading with these guys all the time whenever I'm in need of resources. This is actually where I get all of my glass, quartz, lapis, and a bunch of other stuff. But as you can currently see, they're all just inside this hole in this hill that I made for them. So we're gonna do something about that. And the plan is to build an entire city for the villagers. That's right, this whole area here, I am thinking of building a whole city on top of it. I think I mentioned this before in a previous episode of mine. And now it's actually finally time to start the project. So what I have in mind is to have a city here that will have the structures for each villager of a specific job. So for example, the librarians will have their own building, then the farmers, and so on and so forth. So there's gonna be a lot of those since there are currently 12 jobs that a villager can have. Of course, I'm also gonna add other structures in the city, which I'll get to when we get there. The city itself will also be completely spawn-proof to keep the villagers safe. So everything will also be completely walled up. As you can imagine, this is gonna be a really big project. And we're obviously not gonna be able to do the entire thing in just one episode. So the plan for today is to just do some planning. So first things first, I'm gonna light up the entire area to stop the mobs from spawning during the night. It's a pretty big area, so I'm gonna need loads of torches, which I have here now in my inventory. So, time to spam some torches. All done. That took a while, but the whole area has now been spawn-proof. I didn't go past the area here and over there as that won't be part of the city. I've also done some cleanup to the place. I removed all of the remaining villager structures over here as we won't need those anymore, as well as the temporary melon and pumpkin farm that I had over there. The only thing left is the villager breeder, the trading hall, and this. In here I have these two nitwits here and an iron golem apparently, which are just hanging around. These guys are pretty useless, but they're still pretty unique, so I might do something about them in the city. So I'm keeping them for now. Okay, Next up is to plan out the layout of the city itself. Where the buildings are gonna be, where the roads are gonna go, that kind of stuff. And I'm gonna need a bunch of blocks to do that. I have here some colored wool, which is the material I'm gonna be using to lay out the structure inside the city. The wool farm is finally coming in handy. Anyway, here's what I'm gonna do. I have laid out here a bunch of wool with signs in them that indicates what they are representing. So we have the black wool for the main road, then light gray for the street road, blue wool for the workstation buildings, green for city hall, light blue for commercial buildings, then white wool for residential buildings. Then we have lime wool for city planters, gray for the wall and city gates, red wool for the railway station, orange for horse stables, then yellow for the rail line, then finally cyan wool for the gas pads. And that's pretty much everything that's gonna be inside the city. This is just an overview for everything. I'm gonna be explaining a bunch of them as I go through with the layout. Whoops, almost forgot. Here's a pink wool for the heart center, which is where the villager builder is gonna be, and a purple wool for beacon towers. Okay, let's continue. Here's a screenshot of an aerial view of the area. And I'm gonna draw here the general layout of the city. Doing this should make it clear to anyone watching, I hope. First, the entrance. It's gonna be somewhere over here, just like this. So the main road, which will come from the right over here, which is east, will go here like this. And then since there's a river here, there's gonna be a bridge before the entrance. There's also gonna be another entrance to the city somewhere here in the southwest. This one is going to be diagonal in design. So it's gonna look like this. Then the road will continue on like this. Now that we have the two entrances laid out, time to connect the road inside the city. There's a pretty big hill in the middle here. So the road starting from here will go like this, going south. Then it will turn over around somewhere here. Then there's going to be another turn somewhere here, then more turns here. Then once it reaches this point, it will continue diagonally like so. Then continue west until it connects to the second entrance like this. And now the two entrances are connected via a road. Since there are more land up here, we're going to continue the road going north, starting from here. And it will continue like this to cover even more space around the city. Then I would also like the road to continue going south, just like this, which will go through under the hill and connect it back to this road over here. And that's it for the main road in the city. Next will be the walls. The entire city will be surrounded by it. So starting from the entrance over here in the east, we'll go down here. Then continue on like this, following the main road while maintaining some space in between for the buildings that will be built there. And then it will connect to the other entrance over here. Then continuing on this side here, just need to connect it all the way over here. Just continue on placing the wall like this. And then it will end somewhere over here. And this is actually where the wall will stop. I don't need this to connect all the way over here, since there's already a hill here, and that already works as a natural wall for the city. This part doesn't have a hill though, so there's going to be a terraforming involved to continue with the natural wall. Then over here, you can see that there's a river going here but stops midway. So I'm going to continue the river going like this and connected to the other body of water up here, just to make things look a little more natural. And that pretty much covers the entire outer layer of our city. Now it's time for the rail station. It's gonna be somewhere around here, just like this. So it is near the center of the city. Then on one side of the rail, it will go like this going north. This is going to be somewhere under the hill, so it will go through underground. Then it will turn here and continue on going east, which will then be connected to the rest of the world outside our city. Same thing on the other side here, which will just continue going south like so. Then the horse stables next, I guess. There's gonna be one around each corner of the city. So one over here, 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 and over here. Just so that there's plenty of areas where one can park their horses. Then for the beacon towers, I want them to be placed strategically so their range will cover the entire city. So here, 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 and here. Hopefully it does reach the whole city with this placement. And finally, time for the buildings around the city. So first will be the heart center, which is just gonna be here where the villager breeder is currently at. So no need to move them to a different place. Then for the workstation buildings, I'm gonna place them in these locations, which I've already laid out. I'll give out the details for this later once I start placing the wall in my world. Then the city hall is gonna be somewhere around here. And that's all the important things that will be inside our city. As for the rest of the space that are still available, they're gonna be filled out by fillers, like the commercial buildings, residential buildings, planters, and other stuff. And connect some of the builds with the street roads I mentioned earlier. And there's the entire layout of the city, made in Microsoft Paint. Oh, and by the way, I forgot. These are the gas pads. I forgot to add this earlier. I've added a bunch of the residential buildings, the commercial buildings, and other stuff. But now this is looking like a total mess. But don't worry, because now, it's time for me to do the layout in the actual world itself. If you're enjoying the video, click the like button, and subscribe if you want to see more. I appreciate the support. And now that we're back in my world, let's get started on placing those wool. And the best thing to start with will be the main road and the walls. Okay, done with the main road as well as the walls. I've also placed the wool for the river extension over there. And with this, the entire outer layer of the city is now done. Most of the city will be at Y level 72 as you can see here, which is at the same height as the road. So everything will be pretty level with each other, besides a few other builds that you'll see later. And you can just see how big of a project this is going to be. We still got a lot of work to do, so let's continue on. Time to do some of the buildings, and we're starting with the heart center. And it's gonna be in the same place as this is. And it's gonna be about this big. So basically, with the heart center, it's gonna contain the villager breeder, as well as the space where I can turn the villagers into zombie and curing them and giving them jobs. So everything will happen inside this building. And since this is the very heart of the city, hence the heart center, it's also the first major build that you can see when you enter the city from the entrance. Next will be the railway station, which is gonna be here near the center of the city. And it's gonna be about this big. And as you can also see there, this is also where I'm gonna be placing the nether portal for the city. And with the rail station done, I can now start on placing the rail line. I also needed to do some digging, so I also started installing all of the beacons around the city. I had to grind some of the beacons, so I killed a bunch of wither in the end to get the nether stars I needed. Oh, and also, I lost my boots. As to how I lost them, well, take a look at this. Yeah, apparently, I dropped it when I flew into the air sometime while I was building the beacon towers. And when I noticed it, it has already despawned. It's a good thing I was recording, or I wouldn't have known what the heck happened to it. Luckily, it's very easy to replace it, so I now have a new pair of diamond boots. I'll deal with upgrading this to netherite later. So here's the tunnel going through for the railway, and down here, I've also dug out a tunnel for the road connected to the other side. And with that all done, we can now move on to the workstation buildings. Here are the 13 workstation blocks available that gives a villager their jobs. So, the plan is to have a building dedicated for each of these workstations, and each of those workstation buildings will have a specific villager just for that specific job. First, we have this one right beside the heart center, and this is gonna be for the farmers. Farmers are one of my main source of emeralds for trading the pumpkins and melons. And this is also where I get my golden carrots. So I want them to be in a very accessible location. And just across this one is another one of the workstation buildings. And it's gonna be for the fishermen. It only makes sense that they're near the ocean. I have an idea of making this some port of some sort, so this is gonna be the best place for it. Then right here at one of the corners of the city, we have another building besides the ocean, which is gonna be for the clerics. Clerics are usually associated for religious stuff, but considering what items they have, I'm thinking of them as more as scientists. So this is gonna be a lab or something similar to that. Keep in mind that this shape of the structure you're seeing here is just an outline. It's definitely not gonna be the final shape of what the build will be. Now on the other side of the city, which is on the southern side, right next to the railway station, we have this one. And this is gonna be for the stonemasons. These villagers are one of the useful ones as they give me a few building blocks that are a pain to get. It's like quartz and terracotta blocks. I have a general idea on what I want to do here, but that will have to wait to when I start building it. Next is here, which is on the western side of the city, and they are for the Fletchers. Fletchers can be another source for emeralds, but the main thing here are the arrows that they give, the tipped arrows. So that's gonna be the main thing for Fletchers. Then right across from the Fletcher are 3 workstation buildings right next to one another. They're gonna be for the armorer, toolsmith, and weaponsmith. These 3 are the closest to one another. They trade all of the necessary tools that you can use, like the pickaxe, shovels, and the armors. Plus, you can also trade iron for emeralds on all of them, so it kinda fits to have them all in one section of the city all together. I've also extended the road layout here to the center of the 3 buildings. And now we're over here at the very northern side of the city, right next to the end of the wall here. And this is gonna be for the butcher. I kind of imagine having this building in a place that houses the mobs you can get meat from, like cows and pigs. And in this very corner of the city here, seems like the best place for that. Ow. The final few workstations are gonna be here in the center, right on top of the hill. And we have this one here, that's just beyond the heart center. This building though is gonna be a little bit different, as this one will actually have 2 workstations inside of it. One for the leather workers and shepherds. My idea for this one is that it's gonna be something like a mall that sells clothes, as these two jobs here trades items that fit that somewhat. And now over here we have another layout, which is gonna be the most important one of them all. And of course, that's going to be for the librarians. The whole area covered by this was pretty big, so I had to dig up part of the hill here. So this place is gonna be a library of some sort, and my goal for this one is to have librarians that will trade every single possible enchanted books you can get, so I can easily acquire all of them. I already have a bunch of librarians down here that already sells me loads of books, but there are still quite a bit more that I need to work on to get more in order to complete the entire set of enchanted books. So that's gonna be something I need to work on. You might have also noticed this beacon tower that I placed here. And that's because this part here, which is on the center of the city, is not in range with all of the beacon towers that I made here. So I guess that means that I need to place another beacon tower somewhere in the central part of my city. But I'll work on that a little bit later. Now there's one last workstation left. And it's going to be at the highest point of the city, so up on top of that hill over there. And it's also possibly gonna be the very center of attention of the entire city. And now we have this layout here. And this one is going to be for the cartographers. Cartographers aren't really the most important villagers, but the idea that I have here is that this structure here is gonna be some kind of observatory. And the build will tower over everything inside the city and see everything that's around it. Or at least that's how I imagine it. And since this is the cartographer's building, there's also gonna be some maps inside here, like the one I have in my base currently. That's pretty much all of the workstation buildings laid out. And now that that's done, it's time to finish the entire layout of the city. And finally, we're done. The whole layout of the city is now complete. You can hopefully now get a general idea on how the city will look like. The only thing left is to actually start working on the builds themselves. As for what I have added, there are now street roads over there, as you can see from those light gray wool, and all of them almost follows the main road. But there are parts here and there where it diverts so it connects to the other builds like this one. Then all of the white wool here are for the residential builds. Most are pretty small in size compared to the other ones in the city, except for that one, so I kind of have a plan on what I want to do there. Then there are the commercial buildings scattered around the city just to fill out some of the spaces. And I also added all of the horse stables in all of the corners in the city. Then right over there are the gas pads. Then the city hall of the city is just right over here. It's blending a bit too much with the grass, but it's right there. Oh yeah, and I also made some changes over there. I added a beacon tower at the very center of the city right over there. I had to reduce some of the space for the librarians, but with that, almost the entire city is now powered up by the beacons. As you can see, this is a very big project. Definitely the biggest one I have in my world currently. So this is gonna take multiple days of hard work before I can actually complete the entire city. It's actually pretty overwhelming when I look at it from here. But honestly, I'm actually very excited about this. So I'm gonna work on this little by little in order to not burn myself out. Unfortunately, that is all the time I have for today. Doing all of that planning took a lot longer time than I imagined. But don't worry, you don't have to wait very long to see the next progress of the city, because on the next episode, I'll get started on working on the first build. Anyway, if you enjoyed the episode and want to see more, click the like and subscribe button. I appreciate the support. We'll continue on our next adventure next time. I'll see you when I see you.